Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we're going to dive into some ongoing energies, themes, and healing lessons we've been moving through since 2003. Yes, since 2003. And let me provide some context here. So part of being an astrologer is that I find myself going down these really unexpected rabbit holes. And I recently was looking at the ongoing transiting planets moving through Pisces. And we have had so many transiting planets moving through Pisces that I realized we're really in this big master class of Pisces themes and energies. And they really started prominently in 2003 when Uranus entered Pisces. And that really opened up more energies around the spiritual awakening themes that so many people on the planet have been moving through. So in this particular episode, we're going to talk about these ongoing Pisces lessons that we've been moving through, as well as going higher in understanding why they are important in this lifetime, the bigger picture of what it all means, but also hopefully to validate and affirm that yes, we've been moving through ongoing lessons of letting go, release, and trust. I mean, don't you feel like you've just been required to keep trusting, no matter what? It's almost like this trusting of our energies, trusting of what we can't see, having faith, not giving up hope, all of that is directly related to Pisces energies, but it's been this very long marathon and it can be draining at times. In fact, it can be downright discouraging. It can be defeating. We can feel like we're just worn out from all the trust, all the letting go, all the release. And I feel like this is where many of us have exhaustion. We're just so tired. It's almost like, oh, I got to trust for one more year, or I got to keep trusting. And yes, we do. And that's what we signed up for in this lifetime. And that doesn't make it easy at times, certainly not on our human needs or our human desires, because the Pisces energies transmute, dissolve, release, remove. And that's been a big theme. These ongoing Pisces energies have removed so much from our lives, from our expectations. It's helped us too in detaching from our egos, in learning to surrender, in understanding where we need to surrender, looking at where we can keep growing. We're going to discuss all of this in today's show, but I feel like it's a necessary topic because it's been relentless trusting, relentless surrender. It's almost like, oh my gosh, what else do I have to give up? Here, just take the dinner plates. I don't need those. Also, empty out the junk drawer. Great. Take all the stuff in the junk drawer. It's sort of like the Pisces energies have just kept coming through in these various ebbs and flows and waves of energy, asking us to continually release. So that's what we're discussing in today's show. Now, if you have planets or points in Pisces, Sun in Pisces, Moon in Pisces, Pisces rising, or any of your personal planets in Pisces, these are energies that you have been working with much more personally and is also part of your life mastery, also part of what you're here to energetically and consciously work with, as well as be very clear in where your energy is going. If you have strong Neptune in your chart or strong 12th house energies or planets, then you also can relate to these themes, as these are also connected to the Pisces energies and intentions. So there are things here that you could be naturally resonating with. However, if you do not have any planets or points in Pisces or in the 12th house, or you don't have strong connections to Neptune in your natal chart, you have still been working with these Pisces energies in the Pisces houses in your natal chart. And keep in mind that could be 1, 2, sometimes 3 houses in a natal chart where Pisces begins at 0 degrees and goes to 29 degrees. And that's where the transiting planets are moving through. The transiting planets are about the current weather, the current forecast, what we're currently moving through, and how it works with all of us, although it can certainly work with more people more personally. So even if you don't have any planets or points in Pisces, you have still been undergoing these very deep Pisces energies in your life, and they've still been requiring you to let go and surrender parts of your experience, parts of your world, parts of your energy in some capacity. So before I go into the transiting planets and how they've been moving through Pisces, I want to talk more about the themes here so that it can help you understand what we're truly mastering. And every astrology sign has lower and higher expressions, and they run on a spectrum of energy. It's also possible that you can move between those spectrum of energies at any given time. Even in one day, you could move from the lower expressions of an energy up to the higher expressions. So these are very fluid and transitory energies that show us where our energy goes, shows us what our consciousness is saying to us, reveals our intentions, and also can show us what's happening within us, specifically within our emotional world, and in Pisces, our own spiritual growth. The Pisces energy reminds us that we are more than just this earthly reality. We're more than just our bodies and what we own or what we buy. We're more than our jobs or what we have in the bank. We're more than what our ego identifies with. And the beautiful thing about Pisces is that it's a sign of duality, and it's the energies of duality that work with us between the human realms and the spiritual realms. How we travel in our human experience, but we have the ability to go higher into the spiritual realms to see things from a higher perspective and to understand more of the bigger spiritual principles that our human self can detach from. So, for example, when we go higher into these spiritual realms of Pisces, we can remember compassion, forgiveness, pure acceptance. We can be reminded of where we're not in control or where we can't change or shift something in a big way, but we can monitor and shift our own energy, our own consciousness, our own intentions. So part of the Pisces mastery is how we learn to continually flow between the human realms to the spiritual realms and then back down to the human realms. And so it's this ongoing cyclical energy field of coming back into our body and understanding who we are in this lifetime, in this timeline, but then also going higher up and seeing it from the broader perspective of your higher self. And that's often how I look at the Pisces expressions, is that they do connect us to our higher self and parts of our own energy that we have detached from. We can go higher into those realms of peace, harmony, joy, and really intentionally connect our frequency to those expressions. But that can be hard at times. That can be a challenge for the human experience, especially when we are stressed out or anxious, when we're really going through turmoil or something big or emotional. It can be very difficult. In fact, perhaps even unrealistic to expect ourselves to jump up to a place of compassion or forgiveness right away. Rather, the human experience often requires us to move through a genuine, authentic process of our own energy. So part of the Pisces understanding is that here we are in our human bodies with all these energies that we're tapped into and working with, and we have our own flows. We have our own emotions and things that we're understanding. We have our intuition and our spiritual gifts. We have all of that we travel with. And we can use those as powerful navigation tools for what we're moving through on the planet. And I feel like part of these Pisces energies is reminding us that we have these support systems at our disposal. And it's especially important to connect with them or call on them when the human experience, when the physical world becomes too much. And so this is how the Pisces energies always supports us in moving forward, in working with energies, in understanding too how everything is meant to change. And Pisces is a mutable sign, it's a water sign, it's the energy of transmutation. It's also the energy of accepting how nothing in the physical world stays the same for long. And Pisces can bring up how we deal with loss, how we deal with grief, rejection, abandonment. It can bring up all of these themes. And this is important to understand because since 2003, we've had big energies in Pisces, and I'm going to get to those specifics here in just a minute, but we've had these ongoing lessons and experiences that perhaps have continually brought up these same themes for you, where you're feeling again like there's something that you're afraid of losing, or maybe you've been working through a lot of grief in your lifetime. Maybe the past 20 years have been really big in what you've had to let go of, and all of the, we'll call it internal work that has been required of you to do the healing, to do inner child, shadow work, all these parts of our energies that have required our attention, but it's been relentless. It's been like, oh, one more thing is coming up that I have to work through, or look, there's my abandonment issue again, or there's my rejection issue again. It's kind of been this onslaught of energies that keep showing us what we're healing at very deep levels of our being, but we really haven't had a break from it. It's just been coming in and basically can feel downright exhausting and almost feel like you don't know how much more you can endure or take. So the point of this, though, is we are going to move some energy forward in this podcast, but I want to validate these experiences because they're very real. They're very true. They can certainly be things that you've been emotionally feeling or working through for much longer than you ever expected or anticipated. So in 2003, we had Uranus enter Pisces, and Uranus is the awakener, the liberator, brings in chaos and disruption, but also is about freeing you from anything that's not genuinely connected to your frequency. And this is why Uranus can be quite rebellious, because there's something within your consciousness that's saying, this is not me anymore. I want to be free from this. I don't want to be caged in or held back. So as Uranus moved into Pisces, there was this very strong awakening to more of our spiritual frequency, to more of what we're capable of and what we want. And this is also where you could have felt something rebellious in you around what you no longer wanted to participate in or be a part of, the communities you didn't want to interact with, the people you didn't want to be around. And so Uranus and Pisces really stirred up the pot around what that meant to be a spiritual being in this lifetime and what it meant for you. And I feel like every time we talk about Pisces energies, we're going to be basically pulling on some cords or strings from other lifetimes where the energies were unfinished or where the stories were still in motion or the stories are still playing out. So in Pisces, because the energies are so fluid and overlapping, there can be a sense of moving between dimensions, being in between realms, being on multiple timelines at once. And this can also be something you feel in your dream state. So keep that in mind, that this is actually part of how we've been awakening and expanding and understanding our energies even more. But it can be confusing. It can be like, wait, what lifetime was that? Or what just happened in that dream that felt so real? Because it was real in another timeline that you were experiencing. So Uranus and Pisces really blasted open our barriers. Anything that was preventing us from tuning in or tapping in to more of our higher self and our spiritual frequency. And so this transit of Uranus and Pisces occurred into 2010, 2011. Now I'm doing broad strokes here instead of specific dates because we're looking at this overall trend basically from 2003 until 2026. So we're covering over 20 years, 23 years or so. And so I'm just really going to focus in on the years when the outer planets change signs. The outer planets usually go back and forth between an old astrological sign and a new astrological sign before it fully enters and stays in that new sign. So Uranus in Pisces went through your chart, all of Pisces, and stirred something up in your energy, in your intuition, in parts of yourself that you were meant to awaken to, that you were meant to understand and see in yourself. Then Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, entered this sign in 2011 and stays here until 2026. So Neptune in Pisces has been the ongoing energy of Pisces where we've really had to surrender and let go, especially in the Pisces areas of your chart where there have been things you've had to release or clear out. This is a part of your life where you've really had to surrender. And if you have planets or points in Pisces, when Neptune moves across those energies, it basically stays there for up to 2 years. So the Neptune in Pisces is more of the intense application of Pisces energies. And it's been where we've all had to step back and detach and say, I don't know what's happening in this part of my life where maybe I was attached to something, or I thought this would happen, or I thought this would be a sure thing or a definite yes. And then Neptune in Pisces comes through and asks you to throw up your arms and say, maybe not, just kidding. It's moving on, it's transitioning, it's transmuting. So this is the part of your life where things have been inconsistent, very transitory. Things come in and they come out. It's also where we've had to keep trusting because that Neptune in Pisces is requiring us to dig deep and to really look at what is connecting and supporting you, but not just in an ego manner, not just mentally. This is something where Neptune in Pisces wants you to look at all of your energy. What do you need? What are you deeply craving? And where are you really in tune with that authentic truth? And if something is correct for you energetically, meaning it's connected to your natural state, your natural frequency, then it will stay. It will have the ability to effortlessly connect, but if not, it will go. It will ebb and flow and move out the door as well. So this Neptune and Pisces energy continues into early 2026. And that is a big deal because this is going to be the completion of the zodiac, the completion of a grand cycle. And so Neptune is requiring us to basically keep scrubbing and cleaning out anything in our world, in our lives, in our energy that isn't connected to what is essential for us in this lifetime. And of course, this is different for everyone. I feel like Neptune directly connects to your soul's intention. Your soul's intention in this lifetime. And so if something is meant for you, and we can say fated or destined, or something is basically, it has your name on it, Neptune and Pisces will bring it in because that means it's something that is true to your soul's intention and your soul's natural frequency. But if it doesn't maintain that connection, or if there's something that wobbles or it isn't a true fit, then Neptune and Pisces will remove it. So we've been basically living on the ocean. Pisces is the ocean. And we're like, what's coming in? What's going out? When's the next storm? When's it going to be bright and clear and beautiful skies? It's been very inconsistent. And I mean this as it applies to our own energies. And it almost can damage our ability to trust. That's the irony here, is that these strong Pisces energies can bring up the hopelessness, the defeat, the discouragement, the sense of this is never going to happen for me. It can bring up a sense of I'm so tired of trusting. I don't have faith. I don't believe. All of that comes up when we have these strong energies. And so not only did we have Uranus and Neptune in Pisces, but back in 2010, 2011, Chiron entered Pisces, where it stayed until 2018. So 2010 into 2018, Chiron in Pisces made us all much more vulnerable, sensitive, and even feeling like we're just feeling it deeply. And it can make these wounds even more real. It could have felt like that Chiron in Pisces energy was bringing up even more than you realized was there. Almost like going deeper into the wound. Now, Chiron often has two wounds associated with it. There is first a physical wound, or actually there could be an emotional wound first. Either one could happen first, but you would have an emotional wound and a physical wound that can both be associated with Chiron transits, where there's something that is being taken away. You're being ostracized. It can feel like you're abandoned. You're pushed away. You're not welcomed. You're needing to leave. And this Chiron in Pisces energy, especially if you had a Chiron return in Pisces or any planets in Pisces, Chiron brings up what that deep wounding is, especially across multiple lifetimes. So last decade, when we had Chiron in Pisces traveling along with Neptune in Pisces, there was increased sensitivity, increased emotional energy, and even a sense of, can I trust spirit? Can I trust the divine? And there could have been this feeling of a very big spiritual crisis where what do you believe in that supports you that you can't see? And this was something that was very big that has passed now, since Chiron is now in Aries, but Chiron brings up the weaker, most vulnerable parts of ourselves. And I feel like the energy travels between lifetimes, and that's why it can feel so damn big, because there's something about what you've been holding and carrying in your soul's frequency across multiple lifetimes that Chiron in Pisces really triggered and brought up. So then Chiron moved on into Aries, and then we had Jupiter enter Pisces. And this occurred for a brief time, the middle of 2021, and then also occurred 2022. And we also had Jupiter conjunct Neptune in Pisces, which was a big deal that we talked about a lot. And Jupiter brings in the growth, the expansion, the learning, and this revival of trusting in God, the divine, the universe, but also the energy of trusting in your own God self again. So we had Jupiter enter Pisces in 2022 that was more significant because of the conjunction with Neptune. Now, yes, Jupiter was in Pisces back in 2010, 2011. So when you look back then in 2010, 2011, when we had Uranus in Pisces, Jupiter in Pisces, Chiron in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, a lot of Pisces around 2010, 2011, if you remember those years in your life. And it was about releasing and letting go at such a deep level of our being so that a new dream could open up, a new dream could reveal itself in terms of where your energy could go next. Now, in 2022 and beyond, we have been deeply refined by these Pisces energies. There's so much that we have moved through and experienced that as Jupiter has been in Pisces in 2022, making that conjunction to Neptune and Pisces, it was a bigger perspective on what is possible with your energy, as well as a bigger completion and turning point of energies that you have moved through. almost like we were required to really clear out some debris and to get a handle, if you will, on some of the things that we no longer want to keep enduring or perpetuating in our lives. Because Pisces is about endings and completions, there could have been something that you consciously chose to complete. There could have been something in your life, in your world, that you're intentionally done with. It's a turning point of the energies. Also in 2022, Jupiter returns back into Pisces, going to 28 and 29 degrees of Pisces. So the last 2 degrees of the whole zodiac wheel. So there's 360 degrees in the zodiac. Jupiter in Pisces returns to 28, 29 degrees, the completion points, the energy of creating openings, of a void, of also understanding what you've learned and mastered in a cycle of energy. So as Jupiter re-enters Pisces in late October 2022 and stays there until December 21st, 2022, there could be something that you're seeing from that higher self perspective. In fact, I feel this as being at the top of a lighthouse of your own energy, looking at your own journey, looking at how much has changed for you since 2003 specifically, but how much you've grown, how much you have shifted into more of your truth, more of your authentic self, how much you've let go of and healed, how much you've worked through. And also, I feel this as a demonstration of how much you have continued to trust, have faith, and have hope, even when it felt like all of that was lost, even when you were going through those very dark periods, those very intense emotional periods that are certainly part of our human experience. I feel like this energy is continually supporting us in rising up into a higher point in our own energy, except we tend to sink down first. So it's literally this roller coaster of energies where, yeah, we have been sinking down into parts of ourselves to see or be in contact with more of our energy. But then the universe has come through and helped us rise up. And as I say that, I'm seeing this beautiful white dove. And the white dove represents so many things, but of course, peace and clarity and even self-acknowledgement for what you have moved through. So this energy of Jupiter in Pisces will complete in late 2022. And Jupiter always wants to give us something supportive and beneficial, something that validates us, that shows you how you've grown, what you've learned, and that also reminds you to keep the faith, keep the trust, and to look at how far you've come. Now, as we move into 2023, Saturn will enter Pisces in March. And it's going to stay in Pisces until early 2026. This is also when Neptune will complete its time in Pisces as well. And then we also have coming up the North Node in Pisces, which will occur starting in the beginning of 2025 and going into the middle of 2026. So we are not done with our Pisces master class yet. And in fact, it becomes more serious with Saturn entering Pisces. Saturn has not been in Pisces since 1994 to 1996. There was a few months in the middle of 1993 when Saturn was in Pisces, but then fully entered the sign 1994 to 1996. But as you'll notice, that was before we had this grand parade of transiting planets through Pisces. So meaning everything's different now since the last time Saturn was in Pisces. And Saturn is now traveling through your natal chart, basically bringing your responsibility, your attention, and your maturity to the Pisces areas of your life that have deeply changed. And Saturn is asking you to look at what you need to take care of, what you need to complete, what is still on the table, what is still unresolved. Saturn in Pisces tends to be quite serious, as Saturn is, but because it's the end of the zodiac, this is also about karma, choices, consequences. What have you not dealt with that Saturn is now going to ask you to look at? Now, for many of you, because you have been growing in your consciousness and on your spiritual path for many, many years now, if not decades, then Saturn in Pisces can bring about a sense of accomplishment, achievement, things that are perceived as perhaps rewards and manifestations of what you've been working on. So Saturn in Pisces can bring through something concrete and clear that you've been trusting, that you've been hoping for, that you've been wanting. And if your energy has been recalibrated to the point where Saturn says, yes, it's time, then yes, it's time. And Saturn is the timekeeper. Saturn is the energy of, okay, you've created this in your reality. Here you go. So keep in mind that Saturn in Pisces can bring about wonderful developments and manifestations, especially anything connected to those higher principles of Pisces, which would be more about compassion, self-acceptance, love, forgiveness, all of these things that we've been really in for a number of years now. The more that you have adapted and integrated those energies into your frequency, the more you're going to manifest something that demonstrates that. For example, let's say you've had some very big life themes or lessons around rejection or abandonment, whatever that might be. Maybe that started at a young age with your family. Maybe that's been in friendships or certain relationships, or perhaps it's just been an energy that you've experienced a lot of in your life. If this Pisces energy has kept requiring you to do work on that, to go into that wound, to go into that part of your energy and look at where that originated and to reprogram it. Essentially, what you're getting at is the foundational energy of a belief system around feeling loved, being lovable, love being something stable and secure. If you've been working on that in yourself, affirming your self-value, your self-worth, and feeling the energy shift within you, Saturn in Pisces can bring about something that validates that deep shift in your energy, where instead of reacting from fear or reacting from the wound, you're now experiencing this energy as, I am worthy of this connection. I am worthy of people accepting me and being in my life. I am worthy of people seeing who I really am. And that's what I require in my life. So part of the Pisces journey is taking where we feel powerless or where we have some type of victim consciousness that can be very unaware at times, and elevating it, reprogramming it, consciously working with it. And it's often through the hard or difficult experiences that we find ourselves working with something, especially if it's part of your core wounding in this lifetime, or it's been a repetitive theme for you. The Pisces energy has been requiring us to do the energetic work, the emotional work, the spiritual work to reprogram parts of ourselves so that we connect it up to that energy of our higher self, of our soul's frequency, of remembering that you are love, you are loved, you can create whatever experiences or energies you want, and you hold that power. So as Saturn moves through Pisces, we're going to be able to see how far we've come in these areas of our life. And perhaps you could even see where you need to do more work. And of course, work is something that Saturn loves. So there could be more support, or there could be something that comes in that shows you where work is needed. Although I should say that Saturn often requires us to do work on our own and to do it in our own way, on our own terms. And yet this is also where we get those rewards and the energy deeply changes within us. So there is potential here for what you've been working on to pay off and to really see the changes in your life. This is where you could be making some bigger life decisions because of what you've healed, of what you've changed in your own vibration, of what you've moved through. And again, going back to the core wounds of abandonment and rejection, I'm saying that because it's a common universal theme for many starseeds and light workers and those who don't feel like they belong here. You come onto the planet and something triggers you into feeling abandoned, to feeling alienated or lost, or like you're pushed out of the mainstream, or you don't belong here. It's like that kind of energy that is very much the lower expressions of Pisces. And it can feel like you're just wandering through life. It can feel like you are always transitory or in motion. You don't know where home is. Where is my home? Where should I go? Where do I belong? Where are my people? Where is my family? And it's this sense of feeling lost that can be a very big deal and a very significant energy, especially if you have strong Pisces, Neptune, or 12th house in your chart, because what you're reconnecting, and I do see this as cords, almost like electrical outlets plugging in, is that you're reconnecting to more of your divine God self in this lifetime, more than ever before. It's like this huge lifetime around spiritual principles and spiritual choices and big energies. And it requires you to be alone in order to do the work, in order to be aware of your own energy and what you're feeling and sensing. And so that Pisces energy requires us to go off on our own, to go out into a place where nobody else is. And that's part of the universe directing you on your path. That's also where, even though we can feel alone or wonder about connections, friendships, relationships, the universe is actually providing you with this divine protection to really go deeper into what your energy is about. And I'm feeling this too as sadness, as sorrow, as the parts of our energy that doesn't want to be disconnected, doesn't want to be alone, doesn't want to be separate. And that is also a Pisces energy, is feeling separate, feeling separated. And part of what we're doing then, going back to these electrical cords, is that we're replugging into spirit, we're replugging into our intuition, to our spiritual gifts, plugging in again to that God self vibration and that higher self energy that's always traveling with you. And it's sort of like this big turning point occurs when you have that plugged in, then everything opens up to you. Then you are above just what you're seeing or sensing in the physical world. You're above your self-identity and your ego and your mind. You're above even this timeline. You're then connected to the all that is. And so where I'm going with this is that the big Pisces energies from 2003 to 2026 are helping us ascend, helping us spiritually grow and really step into more of the 5D energy frequency, of this higher consciousness where we are able to then move between the 3D energies that are a part of our reality. You never totally ascend out of 3D. Well, you do when you die. You do when you leave your physical body, but I know there's people who are saying they live in 5D all the time. It's like, that's not even possible, because you have a body and chances are you're eating food and you're touching things with your hands. So the 3D is our grounding reality. But being more connected to the 5D, being in that place of understanding you can go there within your own energy, within your own frequency, is what supports us in lifting us up out of the constraints of the matrix and helping us go to this new place that is our forever home. So essentially, this has been a few decades of reconnecting to our forever home, to our higher self, to our soul's frequency, learning to integrate that, learning to travel with those parts of ourselves, learning at a baseline level how to trust our intuition. Even more, how to trust our intuition minute by minute, day by day, how to live from that place, how to be in that energy more regularly and more often to the point where it then becomes more natural. And in order to do that, there have been parts of our lives, parts of ourselves, parts of our egos and our mind and our belief systems that we've had to leave behind. And I believe that's why we chose to be here at this time and to live through this masterclass in Pisces energies, where we've understood that, okay, everything changes, everything is in motion and is in flow. And how can I sync myself up to that experience of the universe where I'm in that frequency and that state of continual evolution and transmutation, even amongst everything happening in the physical world, even amongst my responsibilities and having to take the kids to school and having to go to the bank and think about my career path, all these things that are part of the human experience. But now we're traveling with spirit more than ever. We're traveling with our God self more than ever. And we've been given this time of over 2 decades to continually integrate it so that it literally becomes second nature, if not your first nature, if it's not just who you feel like you are effortlessly. So this has been a very big deal and a very big ongoing shift in our energies, in our collective energies as well as our individual energies. And it's been something that, again, it can feel very hopeless at times. You can feel powerless. You can feel overwhelmed. It can feel like it's too much, it's too big, and that you don't want to keep trusting. You know, I feel like that's just a normal response at times where you're like, yeah, I don't want to trust anymore. I don't want to have faith. I'm kind of over it. But then guess what? I would bet that something brings you back to being in that place of, yeah, I am ready to trust. I do have faith in this. I am back, and I do believe that what is possible is better than what I've experienced before. So we are calibrating our energies. We are working with our own emotional responses to these very big cycles. We're understanding that it's okay to go into the depression and discouragement at times. We're also learning that it's important to ask for help. And please know that if you are suffering from something that's very serious, whether it's an emotional issue or a mental health issue, anything, please reach out for help or assistance. I know that looks different for everybody, but that's part of how these energies can also wear us out. And it's also where we can make some powerful changes and turning points when we're able to reach out and allow others' energies to support us, especially during the despair, the heartache, any of the lower energies that are very real at times. Please know that this is where it is important to ask for help and that there is support available. And we are not done with these Pisces energies because I am recording this in September 2022. These energies go into 2026. And so we are going to keep moving through this Pisces masterclass. That means the Pisces energies on the planet are still going to be prominent. That means health issues are going to be a big deal. Health issues are not over. Things are not over. It's in fact potentially going to get more serious with Saturn in Pisces. Again, Saturn is the consequences of our choices, what we've decided, where we've put energy into something. And now it's looking at the Pisces energies of what do we do next? What needs to be completed? What is ending? So the health issues on the planet are still going to be strong over the next number of years. And believe me, that's hard for me to even say after what we've been through, but that's what the astrology shows. So I feel like that is also one of the gifts of astrology, is that it gives us a heads up on the ongoing themes and lessons that we're moving through. It's also a good time to look in your natal chart and look at everything that's changed for you in the Pisces areas of your chart on what you've had to move through that required you to keep letting it go, keep stepping back, keep surrendering, keep trusting, as this is where your higher self is traveling with you at this time. And this is also where things will make sense in hindsight. So even if it doesn't make sense right now, in a few years, specifically when we're into 2027 and we have these energies coming in that take us forward, it could be clearer to you why you had to let some things go, why it wasn't a fit for the long term, or why there have been so many endings. Please know this hasn't been easy at times, but you are that strong. That's why you're here, to move through these very deep energies within you that you're ready to resolve across lifetimes, across timelines. That this is why your soul said, yes, I want to be here during this period of time on the planet so that I can have this Pisces master class. I can ascend parts of my energy. I can shift some of those lower belief systems. I can really move through this in a powerful way, which is, of course, huge for our soul growth and our spiritual mastery. So I hope this topic has provided some validation of maybe what you've been going through during these big Pisces waves and what we will continue to move through together as these energies are strong into 2026. As always, thank you so much for joining me. You can find out more about my latest astrology classes over at mollymccord.online. And I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube if you would like to connect there. Please note that on YouTube, I have a ton of videos in the playlist that help you understand your astrology chart even more. So I hope you enjoy going through those and looking at more of the energies in your chart. I will look forward to connecting with you again soon. I will be back every Wednesday and Monday for another podcast. And in the meantime, wishing you a beautiful day ahead. And thank you so much for joining me.